Vivo European headquarters.
Then we have our star of the show today, Elson.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you guys.
And hello, I'm Ivan. I'm in charge of the brand and corporate PR at the Vivo European headquarters. Before we start, so first a big welcome to the first Vivo Masterclass. The main idea behind this format that we would love to introduce to you guys is to have a close exchange to experts who are often persons who are somehow behind the scenes. And today we're starting with a topic which is really important for us in Vivo, and I would say an important topic for the smartphone industry as such, and that is product design. And we've noticed, especially with some of you guys writing the reviews on our products, that, for example, the X60 Pro is offering a very elegant and balanced design compared to some other devices. And earlier this year, we've also launched the first of our kind of like semi-flagship mid-tier devices, the V21 5G, which is a really slim, if not even the slimmest 5G device at this mid-range price point. And it's also, you know, we have these crazy colors that sound a little bit poetic, which is the Sunset Dazzle and the Dusk Blue. So who better to talk about the Vivo's philosophy in smartphone design and the role of an industrial design in the development of a smartphone than Elson, who is our Director of Product Innovation here at the European headquarters in Düsseldorf. For those who might not know, so we are currently headquartered for the European HQ here in Düsseldorf for the past 2 years. We're now a team of over 90 people from, I think, 18 different nationalities, so from all corners of the world, from Argentina to China, from UK to Ghana. And it's really a terrific bunch to work with, and we're delighted to have Elson with us and to share his experience. So yeah, Elson, first let's hand over to you for a short introduction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ivan. Yeah. Hello. Nice to meet you guys. I'm Elson. Yeah. I grew up in Taipei, and I'm an industrial designer with more than 14 years design experience. Over 20 mass production developed. Some of famous design you guys might already know, but I couldn't share too much here. So if you are interested, you can Google it or LinkedIn, Elson LinkedIn. Yeah, and I'm mainly focused on electronics products, especially smartphones. And with Vivo since 2017, first with the headquarters in China, with the European office since 2019. During my time of Vivo, I focused on flagship phones design. Behind some of really popular smartphones from other brands, and the Vivo worked on milestone like next dual screen and X27 Pro with the pop-up selfie cameras. And I have a big love for all things creative. And in addition of my extension experience with smartphone, I think I have done like wide range of design from smallest product like TWS, smartphone, earphones, and a personal healthy tracking system. And metaverse is a trend. I also involved the AR, VR design and large scale of equipment, machine solutions. And I've been exploring how to bring aesthetics and experience and consumer all combined together, become of my design philosophy. And I was really impressed that Vivo exploration in this area is really good. And yeah, I think the best example which will be share with you guys is V21 design interview, and I can introduce you later. Yeah.
Thanks, Elson. Yeah. So speaking of introductions, so just to give you a bit of a background, so we've structured the masterclass in a way that we cover some of the key topics, such as the format, the design process, the structure, as well as some more kind of like common themes like color, material, and finish. But also because of Elson's great experience with these companion devices, such as the TWS, these wireless earphones and such, we will also touch quickly on this ecosystem of companion devices, which are then complementing the phone. Yeah, as mentioned, we definitely want to dive into some of these more poetic, topics like the color selection and the naming. It sounds a little bit crazy, like the sunset dazzle, and also a bit of a pain point maybe for Elson, on the smartphone cases and accessories. In terms of interaction, yeah. So guys, feel free to, if you have any questions, you can feel free to shoot them through the meeting chat, and we will cover them also because we have a dedicated Q&A session in the end. So I think first and foremost, when we talk about the design of a smartphone, I think one important definitely part is on the shape and the format. And speaking of format, this is like a question that we've been asked maybe like 20, 30 times with Vivo alone. And that's on the format and the shape of the phone. We've been often asked, like, it's fun to ask then you as a product designer, like, what's your standpoint on foldable phones and on bendable phones?
Yeah, I think smartphone trend are really interesting for me in this moment, and I think like nearly every brands are making some meaningful benefits folding solutions. I think also including us, but we are not going to tell too much yet in this moment. But yeah, I think technology is there. So we are. I think I think smartphone is like having for more than 10 years. So right now, like we have more technologies that support for our daily use, like with smartphones. So I think trends are really good, but like I think until now, bar shape design is still the best solution for the current usage scenario. So what we are focusing on, I think, is how to optimizing the shape form more like further, more like in advance.
Yeah. And where, I mean, as this is, we can talk about this shape maybe, even do a little comparison. Like it's basically it's like a shark. The shark is like a perfect killing machine that's been around for tens of thousands of years, and its shape hasn't changed. And we also have smartphones with this bar shape, which hasn't changed so much, but there definitely was some optimizations made. How do you approach it? How do you see this? How to make it even better?
Yeah, I think the best the story is like our like V21. Yeah, I think we are trying to optimize a lot of features to make the phone better. Like as you can see, V21, we trying to make the phone really thin. Like there is only 7.29 millimeter. I think that's the biggest challenge for us to develop this like mid-range but looks premium categories. And also, I think we focusing on the like as you can see, really recognizable design language for our camera modules. And this is the first design for Vivo. It looks really sleek and simple. I think the form factor looks really good for me. And also we mentioned about the young professionals, and the front-facing camera really helps. So it's really we spend a lot of time to integrate the front-facing camera system together. So these all details combined together.
Good, and we'll definitely touch up on that quickly. But I think one topic that for sure most of us don't know is how does the exact kind of like the design process, how does it work? At which point in development of a smartphone do you kind of come in? What's kind of, how does the design process work?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because maybe most of like consumer or people, maybe even you don't really understand what the designer doing during the whole process. I think maybe you just thought, oh, designer only do the form factor design or CNF color material finish. But like the truth is, like we like have been through all the process. I think we have 5 different stages product development, not only doing design, form factor, or CNF. We also involved in very early stage with our product manager and also engineers to talk about how can we bring the idea into reality. I think that's a key, and I was also impressed. Vivo did a great job for the consumer insights. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically it's all about the people, basically, I would say, and also from earlier discussion with you, you kind of put yourself in the shoes of consumers. So it's kind of like we're always kind of talking about that we are really a human-centric tech brand, and we sometimes get these really great looks. So
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more kind of like how you dive into this?
Yeah, so like for design process, like we have like 5 stage I can share with you guys. And the first one is like define. We want to know what's the consumer need, and we have very strong database and to fulfill all the like to find a specific addressable market users. And also, like we know like what's the color trend, what's what's their lifestyle, what's the benefits for them. I think that's the define. And second one is like initial concepts. We starting doing sketch, CNF, like some details idea. Then we have like fix the design. Then R&D we spend nearly 1 month to develop, like from concept to the production. Then that the last part is production part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, the core I think is always from our users. And yeah, you might not imagine that Vivo did such a really good job for the user insights.
Mm-hmm. And also then when we were introducing the V21, we were talking about, and you also mentioned this kind of target audience of these young professionals in their late 20s, early 30s. I think we define them as socializers. So what are the kind of crucial points to make a right smartphone for this group?
Yeah, I think young professional is the key. Especially for our users for V21. I think the most benefit for them and what's what they desire to have is trying to keep in touch everyone, their connections. So like for the young professional group, I think front camera is really important for us to develop for this smartphone. So we can do like a lot of video calls and blogging, and like more important to them, I think, especially like during the quarantine, like remote work is quite important. So I think for the young professional socializer is the key to develop this like key function.
Painful, I can imagine. So I think then this kind of naturally brings us to the next topic about this kind of like personalization and the expression of these devices, and something that especially for V21 is really stand out, and that's the color.
Yeah.
These I think we also touched upon quickly when we were introducing, the format and everything. These colors, the sunset dazzle and dusk blue, they sound quite poetic.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through what was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, I think like the interesting part is from, like you said, poet. We bring the poet to reality, and the biggest idea from like these two like colors, the ideas came from natures. So my left hand side is dust blue, and right hand side is sunset dazzle, and all concept is from the sky and the sea. And yeah, so for my personal really like the dusk blue.
Yeah.
And I think we're trying to make the phone really elegant but playful. So the idea for the dust blue, the inspiration for the color is from the night sky, but you can still see the stars, and also the dark deep oceans, but you can still see the reflection of something. And that ocean always mystery, and sometimes it looks really premium. So this one reminds me like about when young professional they can have a very serious meeting, but also they can have more personal style. So I think this one is really good. I really like this group. And for the sunset dazzle, the idea came from the ocean, and the ocean with the sand, and we have so many colors combined together. So sometimes if you can see the weather in Düsseldorf is not really good, but like the idea for the sunset dazzle came from the summer European beach. So you can see the reflect from the sky, and you can have a subtle blue, pink, and neutral color combined together. Yeah, I think this is more fun but premium feeling. Yeah, for both colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of the colors and the material also as well. One little kind of like nerdy bit. I think some of the guys may also have noticed that this sunset dazzle is 0.1 millimeter thicker and 1 gram heavier than the dust blue.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So both colors are really good and really hard to make it, and we are using the glass as a back cover, and the sunset dazzle, we have 9 different colors need to combine together, and we are using the film to make the poet concept in real life. So the manufacturing challenges, we will increase 0.1 millimeter thicker than the dust blue. That's the main reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned also that we use this specialist glass from shop, right? So
yeah.
What's the again? I can imagine this is also to do kind of coming back to nature and the haptic feedback of the phone.
Yeah. I think the material really affect the feeling for consumers. Yeah, for these two phones, our main challenge is make the phone, even though the mid-range price, but looks really premium. So we are thinking of how to make the phone premium with limited challenge. And so I think the solid feeling and nature colors can show the premium feeling. So the metal feeling friend and the nature with the glass, yeah, I think they are combined really well, and the feeling looks really solid. Yeah, I think that's the key.
Yeah. Well, for sure, haptic feedback.
Yeah.
Very, very important. One thing also noticing now that we're also kind of like using these phones on a day-to-day basis, these materials seem very, very resistant to fingerprints, and there's kind of like these two schools of thought. One is doing maybe these matte finishes, which are very, very kind of soft to touch. And on the other hand, there are some devices also in our portfolio that have this really super glossy finish, almost looks like a racing car. But on the other hand, we have the topic of having a fingerprint magnet and something that you're always kind of like rubbing against your shirt that you're keeping it clean.
Yeah.
So what's the kind of like the school of thought behind that?
Yeah, it's a very good question because we talk about the finish, and I personally really like the matte finish, and it also can show the premium look because I don't need to like doing this, but still very clean. I think clean is a really good word to show the premium, and I also I've been to Europe for nearly 2 years. And I think European users, they really like the matte finish. Yeah, so I think that those V series are really suitable European market. And like also you mentioned about the different finish have different effect. Then as my understanding, I think matte color can show us more calm, more like stable, but with more like feeling like difference. Mm-hmm. But like glossy also good. They're like supercars, like very shiny, very like fancy feeling. Yeah, so it's different feeling, different categories. Yeah.
Our next three, it looks even like the back cover. It looks even like a mirror. It's fantastic silver.
Yeah.
And then talking about these like fingerprint magnets and such, I think one last topic, and I know that's always kind of painful for designers, is talking about cases, and sometimes people will just buy on eBay or someplace, they will just buy this very cheap silicone case that gets yellow after a while, and it doesn't work good. So I can imagine that's quite painful for you guys designers after you spend so much time on.
And so I personally suggest all the consumers like using the phone without case in the beginning, because I think the finish, the material really shows like personal feeling and looks really premium. So I don't really like case, but I think case also fine for me, and maybe like my suggestion is like after 1 month, 2 months use maybe some like what?
Little patina, right?
But something like scratch or something. Then we also provide very good case in of me, and we have 2 different other of silicone rubber cases. You can also use, and without the case, you can see the very slim and very sleek, simple design, and looks very premium. But with the case, you have different like feeling in your hands. The silicone can show very stable, like very soft feeling, and also we provide very cool like light blue color. So you can change your mood or something. So I think you can play around like in different kind of scenarios.
And I also think it's kind of nice that this like transparent case that comes in the box. It's also very sturdy, and I think it's kind of like, so this is mine. I've been using it for like 5-6 months now. I mean, it's showing a little bit of wear and tear, but it's really
it's still
very, very, very durable, and it hasn't changed color. I mean, I think that's also a very, very cool. And then we also have these TWS, these companion devices. Again, this very kind of like nice starry look, this gradient color as well, even on these. Yeah, so I think we've pretty much covered the most important topics. So before we just dive into the questions, just to summarize once again for the guys who we have online. So on one hand, we have the inspiration from nature, and also you and the guys at the design team kind of like stepping into sort of an ambassador role for the end consumers. So just kind of trying to understand them, what are their needs, how they use their smartphone. Also, like on one hand, demographics, age, sex, on the other hand, also the use case. As you mentioned, also these young professionals, really, I think, very good. It was interesting for me also to hear when we spoke first time this confrontation, between the engineers and the designers, and somehow, you kind of always try to push the boundaries and meet halfway and fighting. Yeah, sure. The adjusting the design, and making sure that also I love these. For example, when you look at these like ports and the USB and the SIM tray. It's all in one line, really nice. And then finally this approach to accessories, and I agree. Also, kind of not keeping in a case is very nice. So before we open the floor to you guys to the questions, maybe we as Vivoers, maybe we can ask you guys a question first, just to get the conversation rolling. So, like, what would be your ideal phone? Like, what would be your like topic if you have like like trump cards for cars, for example? Like, what would be your ideal phone?